growing up, by the age I was, I think, 8, my dad is quote-unquote an entrepreneur. He has his own business. He runs his own tire shop, and he's gotten to the point where he's had 4 or 5 tire shops, but then market went crap, and he had to cut down back to his main one.
Nice.
He's back up to 2 now, whatever the case may be. So, growing up, my parents were separated. Yeah. So I would spend maybe a month with him in summer and a couple of weeks with him during winter break, and I would always work. I mean, I wasn't getting like paid. It wasn't like official, like you're hired.
It's
but
like you got to learn.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, store opens up at 7. We're up at 5. We're out by 6 because we have to set up before we actually open at 7. Store stays open till 8. So by the time we're getting home, it's like 9:30. We go to sleep and we do it again the next day. Stores open 7 days a week. There's no days off. So just doing that. But honestly, when I was little, I didn't see it as work. I just kind of saw it as like but spending time with my dad. Like, it's what I'm doing.
No, but that's where you learn how to hustle, basically.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, you know, you were taught like this is what it takes to earn a living, and you know, a lot of kids are pre-privileged to just be given everything, and I think that's where, like, I guess what puts us where we are today. Because like I myself, I talked about it with my financial coach. I did a podcast with him. He asked me, he was like, you know,
is that the one you posted on your Instagram?
Yeah. He was. I basically explained that not a lot of people know this, and I didn't even put it on there on Instagram too, because it was just a short one. But the long one has my actual story where my mom, you know, she has a business of like women's clothing at the Swami right here at the Broadacres. So she has her booth there, and she expanded it to a few more booths. But I opened up her small business there with her at the age of 8. Same thing. So I was, you know, going to school Monday to Friday, but every Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, I'd go to the Swami and sell whatever it was, toys or you know, clothing or whatever it was. And from there, I was actually already making commissions because like my mom would give me one price. She'd be like $15 for like this toy, right?
Yeah.
But I'd be like, I can sell it for more. And like, I'd be like 20. Yeah. So I sell it for 20. I pocket the 5, give my mom the 15. Shit. So I was like, I was already hustling as a kid. So you know, it's something that's like very like private to me. But at the same time, now that we're getting to the place like we want to get, like nothing else really matters. Only because nowadays, like everything's just like about like, you know, image and whatnot. Yeah. But it's a good story. It's a good story of like how I started and, you know, how I started and how it's going. So yeah,
dude, it's going great. You bought a house at 21, bought your second house at 24.
Yeah. Alex, tell us, you know, how did you get to buying your first property? When did you realize like, oh my gosh, like I need to get myself and my family? It was that point. You had a family, right?
Yeah. No.
Or you just
it's part of the story. So I'll say.
Oh, okay, for sure. Yeah. How do I get myself and my people into this first house? Why did you go with that decision instead of going with like, you know, renting an apartment or just stacking up some more money and living with your fam? You know, what made you decide to do that?
So I want to start off with saying, like, I bought my first house with the intention. I already had, you know, the plans of being a real estate investor. So I bought my first house knowing it was going to eventually be a rental. So I went into it not trying to look for my dream home or anything like that. But back to the beginning, like I said, I was a server growing up. And then especially for a lot of people, if you're not from Vegas and you don't know the hospitality aspect, here in Vegas, working on the Strip, you can make really, really good money in the hospitality. Of course, yeah. You know, because you always hear people saying, "Oh, we want to go to Vegas," and obviously people save up thousands of dollars to come here and spend it here, and a lot of it trickles down to us.
You take care of them. They take care of you.
So I feel like I was young and dumb. I was just making good money and spending money. Like I didn't really have a lot of savings. Like I had bought a car, you know, like I was going to college, I had a car, and I was just like, cool, I didn't really have to worry about anything. Dating a girl, ended up getting pregnant, and that's kind of when it clicked for me.
Shout out, Sarah.
That's when I was like, holy fuck, like, I have a kid in the way. and yes, like I said, I'm making good money, but I'm spending it all, so I have no savings. I'm still living with my mom, and which is not a bad thing, but you know, it's like now I'm starting my own family. Like I'm gonna have my own kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I would like to have my own space. And at the time, my mom had a 4-bedroom house, but she also has 3 kids, and I'm the oldest. So my 2 brothers were still also living there. So it's my mom has her bedroom, her 3 kids have their own bedroom. There's no other space for me to have my own kid and have him have his space and stuff. So that's when I started taking it seriously. At that point, I still had a car payment, so my first thing was pay off your car, and so I literally just paid off my car. And then as soon as I paid off my car, I paid off my credit cards, and that took about 4 or 5 months. And then at that 4 or 5 month mark, that's when I started like thinking, okay, so now it's time to start saving up for a house. And the way I did it, I gave myself a budget. I'm like, this is how much you have to save every week, and then anything past that is what you can spend.
Yeah.
And there was a couple weeks where I would barely just make what I had to save, what I had told myself I wanted to save. So in order for me to have extra money to spend, I would just end up picking up extra shifts.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of weeks where I was working 6-7 days overtime. I did a couple of 16-hour shifts, like I like literally just back to back, just trying to save money, you know, to buy the house. And then I feel like sometimes, like if you really want it, like you'll find the way to do it, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And
that's what a lot of people don't get, I think, in this generation. It's just because there's a lot of, especially if you're living in Vegas, there's always something to do every weekend or every week. Like there's something to do, so everybody's like hella FOMO.
Yeah.
And especially at our age, so if anyone needed a grind, it was at the early stage.
Yeah.
And now I get it. We get it, because like later on, like there's gonna be so much to do later on. But like right now, like you gotta get it done.
And that was
That's
one
what
thing,
you did.
that was actually kind of one of the things I was gonna bring up too. Like sometimes, because I've told a couple of people like my story, and when I tell them that, they'll be like, "Oh, so like I wouldn't do that because like, you know, I want to have fun or I still want to enjoy my life," and I still did, and I honestly feel like I still did. But I would just be very mindful of how much money I was spending and when I was going out. So, and I will say this, like obviously for me it clicked when I was having a baby, so I had a partner. So you have to make, if that's your scenario, your partner has to be on board too. Yeah. If we were going out, it's like we're gonna pregame, and we'll buy maybe 1 or 2 drinks at the bar, because obviously drinks in Vegas are expensive. So you know, we're gonna pregame and maybe we'll have 1 or 2 drinks. We're still going out. We're still getting quote unquote drunk, buzzed, whatever. Yeah. And we're having a good time, but we're doing that on a budget. Yeah. And we would still go out to eat, like, but it would be during happy hour. And I'd literally Google like happy hour restaurants in Vegas so that we wouldn't go to the same one over and over. Yeah. But I'd be like, oh, this restaurant has happy hour during this time. That's when we're going. Like, so we would still go out and have a good time, but I was very mindful of the money we were spending at the same. And a lot of people don't think that. They're like, oh, if I'm budgeting, that means I can't spend money. Yeah, you can. It's just you have to
do your due diligence. Yeah. That's what you did to get there. So you saved all this money. You said that you came into the idea that you were gonna rent this house once you got it. Why can't you just think like normal people, like and be like, I'm gonna live in this house and we're good? Yeah, you know.
I mean,
where'd that come from?
Obviously, I'm living in it now, so I do like the house somewhat. But a lot of the reason for me is, like I said, I have a kid in the way. And I have to start thinking about retirement. So that's how far off I'm thinking when I'm buying these houses. I'm thinking about retirement. Especially because nowadays, I'm sure we've all heard, like, Social Security is running out. Like, by the time our generation gets to Social Security, it's going to be half, if not gone, or whatever the case would be. You can't depend on the government. And, you know, even back in the day, a lot of people maybe didn't even necessarily have to rely on Social Security, but a lot of jobs used to offer pensions. A lot of jobs now don't offer pensions, so it's really up to you as an individual to try and set up your retirement. And you can live perfectly fine and make a good income until retirement, but then what are you going to do in retirement? Yeah. So that was my thought process behind investing. And so the houses that I'm buying right now, I'm not even really trying to like cash flow or get rich off of it. Like I'm still working, I'm still grinding and, you know, making an income, but my thought process, like I said, is 30 years from now. Yeah. These houses have 30-year mortgages or 15-year mortgages, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to actually start seeing the benefit of that income
till like 10
until
years from now.
15 to 30 years from now, which is perfectly right when I get to retire. So I'm essentially building my own retirement by buying these houses and kind of making sure that my kids are okay too, because that way I can help them when I'm in retirement and like, you know, I can pay for my kids' college. I can
Yeah.
Helped them in ways that I don't want to say my parents weren't able to help me, because my parents did do a lot, and I haven't mentioned it, but my parents are first immigration people here. They weren't born; they were both born in Mexico. So for the fact that both of them are first generation here, and my dad has his own business, he has his own home. My mom has her own home and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot on their own.
Yeah.
They weren't able to help me because they were building.
They were working on it. Yeah.
So that's my motivation is building that retirement and that future for my kids. It's not to get rich quick. And honestly, real estate, I'll be the first one to say it. Real estate is not a get rich quick. Like it's
you see all these big flexes. People like, oh, learn how to wholesale, learn all this stuff. At the end of the day, that takes a lot of time of your hands. But if you want to get rich slowly, just by buying properties is the way to go. It's like you're just planting in seeds, and then you'll see them grow throughout the years when you start collecting more of a cash flow.
It's like you'll for sure get rich. It's just it'll be slowly. It's not gonna happen overnight, and it's not. And rich, I mean, it has a different meaning for everybody. For me, rich is just living comfortably.
Yeah,
just
freedom.
Being able to go out on vacation if I want to, or whatever the case may be. So, but it's getting there slowly but surely. Like you're heading in the right path. And so,
thank you.
Yeah, that's my story of buying my first home. How'd you buy your first home? Mind you, I will say I bought my first home at 26. Caesar's 24 and already has 2. So
no, but you were having a way more fun than what I was.
I probably was because
so
like I said,
that's different.
For me, it didn't click until.
But and you put it into this perspective. He ran so I can walk. Like you gotta think about it.
You mean
like,
I
literally ran so I can walk.
I walked so you could run. Like I did the fuck ups and stuff. Like I was.
Yeah, that's what we have so much in common. This is like a clear like showing that you hang around the people you want to hang around with, like kind of like make you shape you who you are. So if I'm hanging around bros that are 28.
Then you're gonna be
27. Then I'm gonna be doing things that 28-year-olds are gonna be doing.
Yeah. See, because I didn't even fully think about that too. Like I'm over here thinking like, damn, like obviously now I'm in that older mindset. So I'm like, I wish I would have done that when I was 21, 24, like you did, like buying homes. Now you have 2 at 24. But at the same time, like what you just said, when I was fucking 24, I was still going to spring break, Rosarito, fucking partying my ass off. Like
that place is dirty.
Like that's what I was doing when I was, 21, 22, 23.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just
I still do that though.
Yeah.
It's just like you said. It's just all about due diligence. Like I still go out. I go on vacations. I went to Colombia, Medellin.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Like come on.
No, but like I said, I didn't realize that you can do it on a budget until afterwards. Like I would go out and just fucking buy bottles and buy shots for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's like how I just mentioned, like you still can go out. It's just be mindful of the money you're spending. Be mindful of the money you're saving. And
yeah, most definitely.
What clicked in you that made you realize that you want
the dreams that you had you want him to do you so much you could do anything.
What clicked in you that made you realize that you wanted to, or you felt like you needed to buy a home, especially at the young age of 21? A lot of people obviously aren't in that mind frame. They're not thinking about buying a home at that age, So
yeah,
what was it for you?
So my family are just like yours, the first generation immigrants here to this country. So the American dream overall itself is having a family, having a home of your own, and whatnot. Something very private of me is that my family, grew up with humble beginnings, that we've always rented, and we came to that point where we did not want to keep paying someone to just live. We wanted to pay to own. Yeah. And so I was stuck in that mindset of, always looking out to own and not ever own, like never owing anything to anyone. So at the end of the day, that possession that you have, that asset, is ultimately yours and yours to control. And even though you don't have $350,000 officially, that home is your net worth, and you have it and you're under your control, that you can move it around and to your benefit. my grandma was actually the first one to own multiple, like they call it terrenos. So in Mexico, they have houses and they call it terrenos. My grandma inherited a few from my great grandma, and my grandma gave some to her kids. And then so that my mom installed that type of mentality that Cesar, like, you know, you have to work really hard to buy a home as soon as possible, rent it out, you know, get into real estate. She actually put real estate in my mind, but I never thought about doing like actual, like being a realtor. It was just about real estate investing at that point. So at an early age, you know, I've always hustled with my mom. Like my mom was like my biggest like example for me. And she kind of implemented me to start working my W-2 for like my actual Social Security to kind of like show on paper that, you know, this is my income, this is how much I've been working, this is my experience.
Like so, you can qualify for...
Yeah. So I started working senior year, high school, you know, just retail jobs here and there. But I actually started working at 8 years old with my mom. Yeah. But my first, like, on-paper job with, you know, compensation was when I was a senior. You know, I started working retail job, this and whatnot. And then I started college. And when I started college, that's when I was like, okay, I'm working. I have to pay for school and stuff. And I have to go to school and do school stuff outside of school.
Like, it's like...
So it was a hustle. But I was like, you know what? That's fine. I was single my freshman year of college, so I was like just about that growth. So college hit, and I joined hospitality. A lot of people have the desire to do hospitality or have the desire to do college outside of state, and I had that desire as well. But I knew that going to UNLV, I knew they were known for hospitality. They were number one in the world. So I was like, you know, I'm being a business. Hospitality is the thing to do. You know, that's going to stand out on my resume. So I did that. And thankfully, I met a mentor. I'm just going to shout her out. Her name's Whitney Mulaj. She was the director at that time for Wynn Las Vegas. And she brought me on board to Wynn. And that kind of like changed my life in a way.
Jump-started you?
Jump-started me into the income that I was making at an early age. Beforehand, my first year in college, I was working 2 jobs. So I was working from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Excalibur. And then from 5 p.m. to midnight, I'd work at a retail job at the outlets. And then at 1, like, I'd somehow make it to the gym. Start all over the next day. And I had 2 days off specifically just for school.
I was about to ask. Like, when did you have time for school?
Just for school. So my only 2 days off that I had were the same 2 days off I had for both jobs. And I had those dedicated just for school. And that meant also finishing all my entire schoolwork by midnight on the library, like submission. Like, it was crazy, but it was like the hustle. That's why I'm like, if I'm not moving right now, like, I need to move. Like, I need to like do something else.
Like, you're just so used to it. Like,
I'm used to the grind.
Your whole life, you're like, you've just been moving, active. Like, you have a goal to reach, and
literally. So I was used to this grind, and when Whitney brought me up on board to Wynn Las Vegas, I started as a front desk agent, and that kind of changed my perspective on work, like, a lot. Because you might think it was just a front desk agent, front desk representative for the hotel. First of all, that Wynn Las Vegas is a 5-star, 5-diamond hotel for 24 consecutive years by Forbes.
Shout him out.
Forbes rating. So shout out Forbes Travel Guide. So it's very highly exclusive, I'm going to say exclusive, but very high standards there. So everything is taken to like from the way you say good evening, from the way to
like the things you wouldn't think matter.
Exactly. So that role there didn't just give me a good, you know, hourly pay, base pay, but it opened my eyes to commission too. We were able to upsell and upgrade plenty of rooms from like the regular standard room to like any suite available that they had. And that's where I learned. I just grinded so much. I made more as a 19-year-old than what I probably make right now. only because counting commission and tips as well. The tips were great. You know, if I take care of that person is going to take care of me, just because of that clientele that we held to standard. So at that age and in that role, I stacked as much money as I can. I literally paid my bills with my tips, and everything else I put into savings. I just learned that, and by the way, I kept myself so busy, I didn't have the opportunity to really party and like go out and spend my money on drinks and stuff like that. And also, I was also like 19, 18. So, it wasn't until sophomore year, which was like around like the next year. So I started in October, and then I went into 2019, the new school year. So around that, in 2019, then that's when I joined like the fraternity. At UNLV. So that kind of like changed my perspective on the life balance, right? And when I did this life balance, I learned that I can do both, right? I could work hard, make a lot of money by working hard, and also live it up. But it came down to taking care of business first. So stacking money was my priority. I kept stacking that money up, and when the pandemic hit, really in 2020, that's when I saw an opportunity to buy into a home. I was already looking to buy into a home, but the one thing you always hear as a first time home buyer, and get this right, I didn't know anything about real estate here. One thing that I hear a lot, and that also my mom said, that you have to work at this job for 2 years, right? Now we can go deeper into that and be like, oh, you just have to be in this industry for 2 years and all that stuff. But I didn't know that. I thought I had to be in a certain position at a certain company for those 2 years in order to qualify. So I knew that my second year anniversary was coming up. So I started in 2018. 2 years is 2020. So I knew it was coming up. So I just started investigating and started finding out, started getting answers, from the right people and asking around. And I came towards a real estate agent. His name's Oscar. And he kind of led me into this loan officer. His name is Rafael. Rafael kind of, pre-approved me. And he told me, even though like you're not 2 years yet, like, you're going to buy your house around that 2 years. So we'll just get you pre-approved now. Get you looking for the house, and then by the time you're closed, you're like past the 2 year anniversary. So you'll be good. So that was my whole entire process leading up to buying the first property. I was 21. I was getting close to 22. My like I was literally it's literally like my birthday was in December and I closed in October. I was really trying to flex and say like I closed at 21. So I made that shit a priority. Like I was like, I need to close before my birthday because if I close at 22, it just doesn't sound cool. It's not. It doesn't. It hits different. So I closed on October, and this buying process is what opened my eyes really to like real estate investing and what it could be, just because it was such at an early age. And looking at it now, it's just like the best thing that could have happened, because if I didn't have it, if I didn't do it, even though it's bound to happen, it's just it's just everyone's in their own boat and everyone's in their own rat race. But it's like I already feel so set back now because of the things that I haven't done. Like if I wouldn't have done it, I would have had to caught up so much. But now that the earlier that you do it, the earlier you can get it over with and be like, okay, even if there's any mishap, like any discrepancies within your process, just know that the earlier you get it done, the earlier you can deal with those discrepancies and learn from them. And that way you can just move past them and not have to worry about them. Yeah. So that was my mindset. That's my mindset now. Thinking about it is we're so caught up and worried about I'm young, I don't have to do that. But you're young, do it. So you fail, and if you don't fail, but if you fail, you learn from that fail and okay that failure, fail, and you can bounce back. The sooner the better. That way later on you don't fail when you're 30. Yeah. You don't want to do that. You want to fail now that you're in your 20s. But even if you do fail at your 30s, that's fine too. you can bounce back. But it's all about taking that first step. That first step was special to me because it was a vision my mom always saw.
Was there something that clicked in you when you were 21 that made you want to buy a house by 21? Like, is there something that happened, or like, why was it 21? Why did you want to buy a house by 21?
Well, the sooner the better. I always said this: the sooner now, like by 21. Mm-hmm. If I get this done now, then I could look into the second, I can look into the third, I can look into the fourth house. So I knew that if I got this under my belt, I would be able to figure everything else out. Mm-hmm. And that opportunity came that I was learning from people, my surroundings. I just asked questions for anyone, and there's this my ex's dad. He's really smart, mm-hmm. and I'd ask him questions. How do you get pre-approved? What's the process? Who do I talk to? And he was like very invested into like keeping up with like the market and the news,
just being on top of it,
and what's going on. And as soon as we hit the pandemic, he would be like, he told me, he's like, the banks are going to start lowering interest rate because there's no business. This is the best time. I didn't even know what interest was.
Like,
interest rate. I didn't even know like interest rate was. I'm like, why does it matter? But thinking about it now, before I talked to him, I had went to Bank of America and asked questions there too. Mm-hmm. Like, how do I get approved for a loan? What is it? And they'll talk me into like all this bullshit. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, like we'll get you in at a 6% rate. We'll pay all of your closing costs. We'll get you at an FHA, blah, blah, blah.
At 6%. Back then, they better be paying you fucking closing costs.
They'll pay my closing costs, but one, they were giving me at 6%, so they weren't giving me a deal.
Yeah.
And two, they were giving me FHA, which I was going to be paying PMI for the life of the loan. And on top of that, there's probably some other term and agreement on there. So, but I thought that was good. I was like, dude, as long as I get pre-approved,
you're like, oh, good.
Let's move.
Yeah.
Let's get this train moving. And so luckily, her dad, his name's Vicente. Vicente, he advised me to like look into smaller loans, mm-hmm. small brokerages, because they're able to offer better deals. And I didn't know that. And so when he told me that, I looked into it, and he was right. They started offering better rates, better interest rates, and 2020 hit, and banks are starting to offer 2%, 2.5%, and I was like, pre-approved me, and they approved me for 2.8. I didn't even know if that was good or not.
Yeah,
like I just had
it's
no
like your first
idea.
Home, you have no idea.
But then I started looking into everything, and I was like, dude, like $1,300 or $1,200 a month.
For a home
is not bad now. 2 years later, like we're here, and $1,200. Now we're paying rent for apartments that are like $2,000.
And I will interject just a little bit, but average in the past like 50 years, average like loans are between 6 to 7. So right before COVID hit, loans were like at 4%.
Yeah.
Which now 4 to 5. Which now people probably think that's a little high. Yeah. But 4 to 5 was a good loan before COVID. Mm-hmm. COVID hit, and like you said, it got dropped down to 2%, like 2.5, like so people were.
I think that's the new custom now. I think that nobody wants to buy a home unless it's at 2 or 3%,
and people don't realize that only happened because of COVID. Mm-hmm. That only happened because the whole country shut down, and in order to keep things moving, the government dropped down rates down to essentially zero for them, but banks still have to make a little bit of money, so they're charging them 0. Banks are charging 2%, so that way they can make a little bit of income. So rates came up to 2%, and that's what everybody's relating to now without realizing that before COVID it was 4 or 5. Now we're still a little bit higher now. We're at like 6, 7 now, so we have room to come down, but rates aren't astronomically high.
Yeah,
they're just high compared to COVID
historic
lows.
Yeah. So there's that issue, that notion we bump into that, we're used to now hearing the 2-3%. Mm-hmm. I locked in a 2.8, which is really good.
Great rate.
We'll probably never refinance.
No, don't. Literally, like that's probably one of the lowest rates you've had in the past 30, 40 years.
And then when I opened my eyes, after that, boom, 2021 hit, And this real estate like splurge, like everybody just wanted a house and invest in a house. And my home went from a purchase price of $260 and it jumped market value to over $430. So it literally doubled within a span of a year, which is not normal, you know. But me seeing that, knowing that I have control of a house that has equity of $420,000 is insane. I'm like, bro, I'm only 21.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what am I supposed to do? And yeah, so after that, like, I realized, like, you know, there's definitely opportunity here. And if I didn't put in at least one or two eggs in that basket, I was going to, like, regret it later on. Yeah. So I knew that I had to build off that momentum. And in 2021/2022, I had my real estate agent friend, her name's Vanessa, help me to try to find a second home. Unfortunately, we failed, not because of her. She was a great agent. She's still great, and she helps me out if I have any questions right now. We just couldn't lock anything because every day it was it was a bidding wars. So at that point, I knew that I need more capital to use towards my leverage, and I knew so much about real estate then. Now, from investing and finding out answers, that I got my license just from everything I knew. So I got my license and I used that towards my leverage, and we're here now.
Buying your second home.
Second home at 24, and
What do you see in your future?
I wrote down, and I told my last podcast with KJ. His name's KJ. Told him I own 10 homes by 30.
I feel like it's an achievable goal.
And he actually told me, how do you expect to achieve that goal, right? Told him, I don't have every answer right now, but I know that's what I wrote down. You shoot for the moon, you land in the stars. I know that there's 1% that might not be possible, only because I kind of skipped a year. I was supposed to buy one last year, but because of the bidding wars,
COVID,
it messed me up. But at this rate, I'm still on track to do 9.
Yeah.
If it pulls through.
Nine
or 8. Yeah. 9 or 8. But you know, there's other things that I'm learning along the way that I could, you know, leverage from and make it possible 10. You know, if it's a thing. Either way, like, if you write it down, you believe in it, you walk with faith, and you elaborate on your goal. You don't write, I want $1 million. You gotta write, how am I gonna write it? How am I gonna get $1 million? Then that's where you have to elaborate and kind of expound on the why and how. That's where I see myself in 10 years, is owning multiple real estate properties.
All single family?
All single family, yes. That's one of those single families, the one that most has returned, the most return and equity and from year to year. And
so, just to piggyback off what you said, so
I want to get to a place where I don't ever want to worry about paying for housing.
That's
literally it. Like, you were born here. You're born in the world. Why do you have to pay for housing?
Right.
You got to figure it out. We'll figure it out.
But to piggyback, like, so obviously you can afford to buy, and not even just afford, but you're able to buy a house every year. So you're on track to at least buy one a year. Once you start creeping up to those, 8-9 years, those properties that you bought on year 1 and 2 probably bought for like $200,000-$300,000. 8-9 years down the road, they're probably worth now like $400,000-$500,000.
Yeah, at this rate in Vegas,
you can do a cash out refinance and literally use the equity from those homes to buy you more homes 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
No. So you'll get to 10 homes, and you can literally use leverage off the homes you bought when you were young later on in life. But you can't do that unless you buy homes when you're young. You need to start with that base. You need to have those first 1-2 homes that, as you progress through life, you can piggyback off to help you even explode later on in life.
Agreed. Yeah, but there's this one mishap where it's like, I can refinance, pull out cash, but I have a 2.8% interest.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't want to go higher.
So that's one thing I could not have done to this home. Yeah. And I thought about doing a HELOC credit, and I got it pre-approved and everything, but that would have meant having the HELOC credit payment plus the mortgage payment on top
Counted
of
against
this.
it, yes.
So that'd be a $22,000 payment plus an extra $600 payment from the HELOC. It would just be like, dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
So
I will say this though.
Little bit of patience did pay off at the end.
Yeah.
Because,
Thinking of doing my own like TikTok reels, but literally strictly loan officer wise, so it wouldn't really even carry over to like real estate. And I would want those to just build up like naturally, kind of thing. Yeah. So
Organic.
So it kind of just depends.
like I started doing mine on my own, like the IG stories that you guys see.
I love your dude. I like your shit.
You gotta drop reels, bro.
But that's the thing. Everybody wants reels, but for me, this is why I see it. I don't know who the fuck is watching my reel. But if I put on my story, I know the person that watches the first one, but doesn't watch the 10th one.
Yeah.
And if she or he watches the 10th one, they want to buy or they're looking to buy.
That makes
That's
sense.
an automatic lead.
See,
You're not thinking like me, bro.
one of the best, like I don't know, like
Don't ever question me.
obviously I don't know the line, but
I don't lie. I was a trendsetter, bro. I was the first real estate agent that put it like on stories, and I feel like everybody's now doing stories instead of reels now, or like stories and reels. But like they never would. They would just go strictly reels because it'd blow up, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, you're only gonna get followers.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you want quality over quantity, you know.
And so, like I like what you said. I like how you were like, why are you gonna trust your money with another real estate agent if they don't even own a home, if they've never put money into what they're fucking doing? Like,
dude, that's another thing was like just social media itself. It's like everybody can go on like a short film, right? Look good. They'll put subtitles on this shit and be like, yeah, top 3 ways to like, you know, own a home in 2023.
Yeah.
And you automatically think that it's like the top real estate agent in the world. But they're not even qualified because they never even sold a house or anything.
And like, I'll be the first to admit too. Like, I told you, I bought my house for $250. If you go out and try to find a house for $250 right now, you're probably not gonna find anything that's like good or whatever. Yeah. But I also put 10% down on my house, so I put in a little bit over $30K fucking buying my house, which is
that you didn't have
like,
to.
yeah, like, and
but no one explained that to you.
no, I wanted to because I'm gonna keep my. I told you I did a 15-year mortgage, so I wanted to keep my payment kind of low.
You actually did a good
so,
thing.
yeah. But nowadays, like, to get the house I have, you're probably looking at $300K range. So, I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. Like, if you have 3.5% down FHA, $10,500 on a $300K house. A lot of people think they need a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And they don't. But like you said, they're dealing with real estate agents that have never actually put, in other words, money where their mouth is at. Like,
yeah, I love
like
that.
they don't even have homes themselves. Like, they've never actually put the money down.
Yeah,
like
I actually did that on just on my close friends. I think.
No, you did. You did. Yeah, you did.
People get butthurt, and I'm just like, dude, I don't want to hear it. I'm just like, you know, I'll post it for like the people like, you know, that are, you know, are cool, you know, because I don't want to get political or anything like that.
Because I don't know, for example,
no,
I don't know
like,
how it felt for you, but at least for me, like, I knew
these real estate agents are doing this shit for a living too. So I feel like I dig trying to like, you know, like literally, I have a friend that's a real estate agent, and she literally told me, and I'm not gonna say her name, but she literally told me, she's like, stop yelling so loud. Like, after I said that shit,
she doesn't know no home.
Yeah. No, because I started talking about how, like, you know, like they like how a real estate agent won't say anything, or they don't want to negotiate for you and do lowball offers because
it cuts their commission.
It cuts their commission, right? At the end of the day, a real estate agent gets paid from the purchase price. And so there's not real estate agents that really want to negotiate down as much, even though they have the opportunity because they cut their commission. So then she messaged me. She was like, "Stop yelling so loud." Yeah. So I was like, "Damn, you just proved my point." But you know,
I knew I was spending the money into a home, and I knew it's what I've always wanted to do, and I knew it's just like a step into like the process of buying more homes. Dude, when that $30K wire left my fucking account, that shit hurt, bro. I'm like when I logged in the next day to look at my account, I'm like, there's fucking $30K missing. Like, that shit. Even though I knew, like, oh fuck, I have a home, it's seeing that money leave still hurts.
Yeah, dude.
And if you're dealing with somebody that's never done that and they don't understand, because for some people, like,
don't know.
Like, even if, like, I know I'm saying like on a $300K house, you need $10,500. For some people, it might have taken them 2-3 years to save that,
Yeah.
and that's all they have.
Yeah.
And they're like trusting you to be like, hey, this is the right choice. Like,
This is the right
I'm buying
decision.
the home, and
Yeah.
and then the next day that money's gone. And yes, they have that home, but now that money that took them 2-3 years to save up,
Yeah, right.
is gone. Like,
You know, even though like that's the situation and that might be well and dandy, that's still a good move because you're investing.
no, yeah, it's a good move, but I'm talking about emotionally wise.
the
Like,
problem is here is that the agent didn't do his best to maximize every single penny that person worked so hard for towards that
that's
investment.
true.
So that was my point on that. Like, yeah, like 20K leaves your bank account, 30K leaves your bank account, but you know you want to make sure that every single penny was used to the maximum
That's true,
potential.
yeah.
So that was my point there.
It's like you're willing to take a little of a pay cut if it means better for the
Yeah,
person.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like word of mouth. Like, you know, like you know, you're reaping what you sow. So like, good karma's gonna come back.
And like I said at the beginning, I feel like us coming from the hospitality industry kind of gives us that background where it's like, I might take a little cut commission here, but that person's gonna be so grateful that when their cousin or whoever wants to buy is like, hey, hit up Cesar, hit up Alex, like they got you, and I'm gonna more than double, triple the cut that I took to hook
doesn't
them
matter.
up with whoever they refer to me.
Literally
Like,
double up, pass it to the next person.
Paying it forward.
Yeah.
10 years from now, I'll probably still be a loan officer, but like just
But like low key.
like
a low key.
I'll probably have a
officer.
team. I'll probably have a team. Like I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, like I'll still double check and make sure everything's going good. But I'm just like I said,
You're
work
just
that
running
plan.
shit.
Work that plan.
You're
like,
running shit.
I'm gonna grind for 2 years by myself. Then maybe hire one assistant for 2 years, and then just keep growing till 10, 15 years from now, I won't retire, and I don't think I'll ever retire because I'm just
Yeah.
a workaholic,
The
and I hate to say
hustle
it,
mentality. Yeah, you gotta keep moving too. You don't want to be like in one place, stagnate. Your body just starts decomposing. Like, you don't want that, dude. You want your body moving.
yeah.
You're just gonna sit there and relax. No, you can't.
Yeah. Like,
Bodies are made to move.
like I said earlier, when I bought my first house, I was thinking
Wink,
30
wink.
years from now. So I'm also thinking 10 years down the line for you. Like, I know you want to invest, and I know it makes sense for you. So I'm already,
Thank you.
of course, bro.
That was good. That was a wraps, I think.
Yeah.
My phone, like I just paid off this phone, and now it starts restarting like every so often. It'll like randomly restart.
Bro, Apple be doing that shit.
Yeah. It's like,
No, low-key, ever since there was the lawsuit, they actually made a lawsuit.
yeah. The
About the phone charger shit, I saw that.
No, not the phone.
No,
Like, the actual updates, like
Made your phone slower,
like
right?
every time a new
Slower,
like
right?
every time a new